Hello everyone. Today I will be showing you how to create TicTacToe in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript with a little bit of jQuery. This is going to be episode 1, so I'm just going to be showing you the HTML and CSS side of things. And so let's get started. Alright, so first we're going to want to have doc type HTML. Basically what this thing states is it tells the web server what type of file this is, and this is an HTML file. And next we're going to use the head tag. The head tag just tells the metadata about the file, so it contains all the data that we need to know when writing this file. Now we're going to have a title right here. Title, we can call this TicTacToe. Let's save this right here, and then let's load this page. You can see right here the title is TicTacToe, so we know that works. Now let's go over to the body. The body tag contains all the meat of our program. So we're gonna have a div tag right here. The class will equal grid, because this is going to be the grid of the TicTacToe. And then within this grid, we're going to have different cells. And TicTacToe contains 9 cells, and the first cell will have as 0. So class equals cell, ID equals 0. And then we're also going to have another attribute. We're going to call this attribute data/piece. It's just the piece that the cell contains, so it can either contain an X or an O, or it can contain nothing. That'll just be empty. So data piece equals nothing, because it's going to be empty to start off with. Then we can copy this 8 times. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then we can just change the IDs for each of these. 4, 3, 2, 1. Alright, so now we have our grid here. Let's reload the page. And as you notice, our grid does not show up. And the reason why our grid doesn't show up is because we need to style it with CSS. So now we're going to create a CSS file right here, so new file. We'll call this main.css. And the first thing we're going to have here is .grid. So this basically means that we're referencing the grid class. And as you can see here, the only thing that contains the grid class is this div element. So .grid, we're gonna set the display to grid so that the CSS knows that this right here is a grid. And then we're gonna have grid template columns, and this just specifies the number of columns. We'll say repeat 3 and 300 pixels. So this right here says we want to have 3 columns, and each column will be 300 pixels. Now onto the rows. Grid template rows. We'll do the same thing. Repeat 300 pixels. Alright. And then lastly, for this element, we'll do justify content to the center. Alright, so basically what this does is it just centers the grid. So now we're going to move on to the cell class. .cell. And then we're going to say border. The border, let's make it 10 pixels. And then it'll be a solid black. And so now that we've set the border, we can set the padding. So padding top to 50 pixels. So that basically just sets the distance between the actual text and the top of the border. And so next we'll do text align to the center, and then font size, let's make that 180 pixels. And then we're going to have the font family, which is just the actual font. We're going to have that be Arial, Helvetica, Sans Serif. Alright. Let's reload this. Let's access the file inside of here. Alright. So it's not showing up right now. Give me a second, I'll fix that. Okay. So the problem is we did not reference the style sheet, or we didn't reference the CSS document from within the HTML document. And so VS Code has no way of knowing that the index.html is in any way related to the main.css file. And so the way we do that is we can have link rel equals style sheet. That's supposed to be an equal. Rel equals style sheet. So that's just saying that the CSS document is a style sheet. Type equals text CSS. So that's just the type of document that it is. And href, which is the reference, will equal main.css. Okay. So that should work. And there we go. Here is the HTML and CSS of the TicTacToe. So this was our first video, and in our next video we'll start adding JavaScript and jQuery to it, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.